The rain had been falling for 5 days straight, a steady, relentless drizzle that blurred the edges of everything in Portland. The streets shone with reflections of neon signs and traffic lights, and the whole city seemed caught between sleep and wakefulness. Ethan Walker sat in his car outside his house, watching the front window glow with a soft amber light. It was almost midnight. His wife, Claire, was home. Her car was in the driveway. But something, he didn't know what, made him hesitate before stepping out. He'd left work early tonight, some vague unease gnawing at him. For weeks, things had been different. Small things, hard to name but impossible to ignore. Claire's new perfume, subtle and musky, not her usual floral scent. The late-night text notifications she'd brush off with a casual, "It's just Jenna." The way she'd started locking her phone. He didn't want to be that husband, paranoid, suspicious, small. But the mind has its own gravity, and once you start circling certain thoughts, escape becomes impossible. He killed the engine, the rain tapping gently against the windshield. The house looked peaceful. He imagined her asleep upstairs, the duvet pulled to her chin, breathing soft and steady. The image almost calmed him. Almost. When he finally went inside, the air smelled faintly of wine and something else, citrus and musk. That new perfume. The living room lights were dimmed, a glass half full of Chardonnay on the coffee table. Claire's book, The Goldfinch, lay open, face down. But she wasn't there. "Claire," he called softly. No answer. He checked the kitchen. Empty. Then the stairs. Her phone charger was plugged in by the nightstand, but the phone wasn't there. Upstairs, the faint sound of running water came from the bathroom. He let out a breath, smiling despite himself. "You're losing it, Ethan." He pushed open the bedroom door. The bathroom light spilled onto the floor in a golden stripe. He tapped softly. "Hey, babe." The water stopped. Silence. Then, Claire's voice, distant, calm. "Yeah. Didn't hear you come home," he said. "Had a long day," she replied. "Just needed a shower." Her tone was casual, perfectly normal. Still, something in it rang false, not in what she said, but in what she didn't. The rhythm was off. He waited a moment longer, then turned toward the closet. That's when he noticed, her favorite silk blouse, the pale blue one he'd bought her for their anniversary, was crumpled on the floor. A dark spot near the hem. He leaned closer. It wasn't blood, just a faint smudge, maybe makeup. He stood there too long, staring, until the bathroom door opened. Claire stepped out in her robe, towel in her hair, looking at him with faint surprise. "Ethan. You scared me." "Sorry." He forced a smile. "Didn't mean to." She smiled back, brief and brittle, then walked past him. He caught the faintest whiff of cologne, not his. Something sharper, unfamiliar. Over the next few weeks, the feeling only deepened. Claire had always been independent, a graphic designer who worked from home, often juggling clients late into the night. But lately, her client meetings happened more frequently, always ending with her returning home later, tired, distant, sometimes humming quietly as she undressed. Ethan tried to tell himself she was just stressed. That marriages went through quiet spells. But one night, while making dinner, he found himself scrolling through her Instagram. No new photos of the two of them. None in months. Just minimalist shots of coffee cups, cityscapes, and, once, a man's hand holding a wine glass across the table from hers. The caption read, "Some people just understand your silence." He stared at the image for a long time. When Claire came home that night, she kissed him on the cheek and said, "You made pasta." "My favorite." He wanted to ask who the man was. He didn't. Instead, he smiled, poured her wine, and watched her across the table as she talked about typography and color palettes and deadlines. But her eyes were somewhere else. 2 weeks later, the truth began to crack open. It was a Thursday afternoon. Ethan was leaving work early again. A project delay had bought him unexpected time. Driving through downtown, he spotted a familiar figure outside the Pearl District cafes, Claire, in her beige trench coat, holding her phone. She wasn't alone. A man stood with her, tall, maybe mid-30s, wearing a dark jacket and jeans. His hand brushed hers as they laughed, close enough to share breath. Ethan couldn't hear the words, but the body language said everything. He parked half a block away, his heart pounding in his throat. The man leaned in, whispering something. Claire tilted her head, smiling, that smile she hadn't used on Ethan in months. Then they kissed. A small, soft, deliberate kiss. The kind of kiss that ends marriages. Ethan sat frozen, rain starting again, a gray curtain between him and the scene. His hand clenched on the steering wheel. Part of him wanted to storm out, to shout, to make her see him. Another part, the quieter, older part, just felt hollow. He didn't follow them when they walked away hand in hand. He drove home instead. When Claire returned that night, her hair damp from the rain, she smiled faintly. "You're quiet tonight." "Just tired," he said. They made love that night, slow, mechanical, like actors in a play they both knew the ending to. The next few days were a blur. Ethan functioned on autopilot, work, home, sleep, repeat. He checked her phone while she showered one morning. No texts. Nothing suspicious. She'd erased everything. But there was one clue, a name in her calendar, Dylan, client call. Set for Tuesday afternoons. That Tuesday, Ethan left work early again. He parked near the cafe in the Pearl District at 2:45 p.m., watching from his car. At 2:57, she arrived. At 3:02, Dylan. He took photos, shaky, rain-specked, but clear enough. Her hand on his arm. His fingers brushing her hair back. The intimacy of people who'd forgotten the world existed. When he got home that night, he printed them out. Placed them in an envelope. Left it on her pillow. Then he went downstairs, poured whiskey, and waited. She came down 20 minutes later, holding the envelope in her trembling hand. "Ethan," she said quietly. "What is this?" He didn't look up. "You tell me." Tears filled her eyes, but no words came. Just silence, the kind that screams. "How long?" he finally asked. "Ethan. How long?" She swallowed. 3 months. He laughed, a short, bitter sound. 3 months. Jesus. I didn't mean for it to happen. They never do, he said. She sank into the chair opposite him, hands shaking. I was lonely, Ethan. You've been distant for so long. You stopped talking to me. Stopped seeing me. I was working, Claire. For us. I know. But it felt like you weren't here. And then I met him, and it was like someone saw me again. He stared at her, his chest tight. So that's it? You found someone who looked at you and decided that made it okay? She looked down. I'm sorry. He nodded slowly, took another sip of whiskey, and said nothing. They sat like that for a long time, the rain steady outside, the silence unbearable. Finally, he stood. Pack your things. Ethan. Tonight. She didn't argue. She just nodded, tears falling soundlessly. He watched her go upstairs, listened to the slow creak of drawers, the soft thud of a suitcase. When she left an hour later, she paused at the door. I never stopped loving you, she said. He didn't answer. The door clicked shut. Weeks passed. He filed for divorce. She moved into an apartment across town. They spoke only through lawyers. The house felt enormous now, every corner echoing with absence. Sometimes he thought about calling her. Sometimes he thought about Dylan. But mostly, he just thought about the rain, and how it never seemed to stop. One night, he drove past her building. Her window glowed faintly. Through the glass, he saw her silhouette, sitting alone, head bowed. He didn't stop. He just drove on. Because some distances, once created, can never be closed again.